Rally Phase Records presents an ASL Christmas. Greatest Advance Squad Leaders Christmas songs of all time. 25 original songs, 25 original artists, including It's Like This.
The first Banzai, it's a 93A, in that certain old annual back in the day, near Alaska's Atube, the Japanese did sneak on a cold winter's night in May 1943. Banzai, Banzai, the first Banzai, a classic scenario for ASL. We looked up the NVR. It is only for hexes. We can't see that far. A half moon provided some light. There's 7.5 turns. It takes place at night.
And great songs like Away in a Sangar.
Away in a sangar, no bunk for a bed, a pile of rocks they are using instead. The stones piled high all around where they lay, they give some protection from the OBA. The rules for sangars are in Chapter F. A sangar gives +1 to most all attacks. They're basically foxholes. They cannot be placed in the course of the play, only during set up.
Call now. Operators are standing by. Order yours today. $9.99 cassette and $12.99 LP. But that's not all. There's the classic, Oh Little Town of Stalingrad.
Oh, little town of Stalingrad, October 42. A campaign game for ASL, red barricades thy name, and in thy streets guys fighteth a month's long urban fight. And have no fear, it will take years to complete it, am I right?
And remember this one?
Here we are bustling, we can't play face to face, 'cause you were there in Europe and I am in the States. Version 6.2 is a version that we use, and I made sure to update the Vassal module too. It's now 3.7.18.
So order yours today. Operators are standing by. Also available at these fine stores: Woolworths, W.H. Smith, Border Books and Music, and the 2HSquads.com.
Recording is in progress. Everything we say will be saved in perpetuity.
until it all disappears from the web.
That's right.
All right.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
everybody.
Yes. Go ahead, Dave.
This is episode 377 of the Two Half Squads.
The only podcast dedicated 100% to the greatest game in the world, which would be Advanced Squad Leader. And we are very pleased to have with us a special guest tonight,
Very special guest.
Vince Maresca. Vince, hello.
Hey guys, how are you doing? It's wonderful being invited to your show. I've been a listener for a long time. So I'm happy to chat for a little bit tonight with you guys about the greatest game in the world.
Yeah, we're very glad to have you.
Indeed.
And where are we reaching you from virtually?
I am in Chalfont, Pennsylvania, over on the East Coast. We just got about 8 inches of snow yesterday, so
What?
yeah, and it's about
Is that
22
unusual?
degrees out. It's good times.
Is that unusual for you to have that much snow?
It's a little bit early, yes, to get this much snow. Usually it's a little
Yeah.
later in the year, but
But you know how to drive in it, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
You're not
No,
like one of those people that when it snows a little bit and you just have to stay home.
Yeah, no, I was in Maryland for Winter Offensive, MMP's Winter Offensive, and they had an inch of snow or 2 inches of snow, and you would have thought the world ended down there for those poor people. But I I had my northern skills, and we made it home just fine.
Yes. You were probably the envy of everybody else. Like, look at him. Look at the confidence in Vince as he drives right through it.
There literally were cars that drove into the median and were on fire, and other cars in the side, like on their wheels just spinning because they never had that much snow. And we're like,
Right? Yeah.
we're going between them. It was an experience.
Yeah. It's like we had our 5 inches several weeks ago, and then we got another 5 right before I left for Arizona, a little break in Arizona. And never fails. I'm always like, well, I wonder how big the pileup will be of cars and where in the country this time. And
Right.
Sure enough, somewhere in the news, it was like 30-car pileup on the highway. And I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody drives. Trucks were going by us way too fast when we were coming
Yeah.
back too. My kids came home Saturday. So I think was that last Saturday from Ohio. Do I have this right? Yeah, and they hit the snow, and then Laura and I came home Monday. Yeah, and then
From Arizona.
no, so this was from the Ohio trip.
Oh, that was from Ohio.
Yeah,
Okay.
and as we came back from Ohio through Indiana to Illinois, there were 2 trucks still crashed in the middle, between the lanes, and like 4 or 5 cars, and evidence of at least 4 or 5 other cars that were already towed out of between the 2 lanes. So somehow everybody kind of forgets, I guess, how to drive.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, they have bigger SUVs now that can go fast in the snow, but they still stop like a regular car. And I think people forget that. And
Yes, I think that's right.
yeah,
We stayed in. My wife and I stayed in and played ASL. We just
Really?
hunkered down. Yeah, we just hunkered down and played ASL.
You did not
Kidding,
play
kids.
ASL.
you have a good wife, my friend.
Yes. Yes. We had a good time. So
My wife
Vince,
looks at the boxes and starts cringing.
does she really?
She doesn't understand it. It's like speaking a foreign language. So she lets me do it, and I play dates with my friends, as she calls them, when
Yeah.
they come over and play. But yeah, she doesn't want any part of it.
Keep gaming. Have friends.
My wife calls it Barbie. What do you call it? Barbie scrapbooking? She calls it Barbie scrapbooking because she doesn't understand it either.
Right.
But Vince, you've been playing ASL for a while?
Yeah, so my gaming history is like most of your guests on here. I started in the late 70s, early 80s with Avalon Hill games. I had Panzer Blitz because I was a young kid, and there's cool cover with these tanks, and I'm like, what's that about? My dad, was always watching war movies, so I knew what they were. And then they went back again, and there was the squad leader box, and I turned that around. They had like individual tanks and guns, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I have to have this. And I took it home, and my buddy next door, we tried to play it. We were playing it. We had no idea we were playing it wrong because we just didn't know how to play. But yeah, I was just like, once I played that, I was like, this is the game for me. And that's really when it started. And believe it or not, I played squad leader all the way up into the early 90s because I had bought the ASL rule book and Beyond Valor. And like every once in a while, I'd pull the RB out and I'd look through it. And I'd always get to the defensive fire section and trying to read it. And I'm like, what is this saying? I just can't understand it. And then, I went to grad school and my kids got bigger. And I got done with grad school and then I saw these ads for these things called starter kit. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I can figure that out. Because there weren't any videos back then. Like you couldn't, if I saw someone, and then once I saw that and there were some videos coming out about that time, I was like, oh, all right, defensive fire is easy. I get it. But so yeah, I started out in starter kit. I met a guy in Philadelphia. I live outside of Philadelphia. So we have a loose confederation of players. We're the Philadelphia ASL club. And so I started meeting those guys. We started playing starter kit. I did that for 3-4 years. Then we picked up a guy who was a ASL player, and he was like, "No, I'm going to teach you ASL because I had the fundamentals there." And then then I moved mostly into ASL. I still design some scenarios once in a while and things for starter kit because I started there. I understand the rule set, but I'm basically now an ASL player, and I started in 2010, so 14 years later.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the game, but I also liked the design aspect of it. So early on, I got into scenario design. It was a great outlet for my history background, and again, I just tended to go towards design. So once I got that, and I had hex draw where I was making my own maps and things, you couldn't hold me back. So yeah, then I wound up doing some play testing for MMP. They used to have Saturday play tests, so I used to go there and really cut my teeth on. Once in a while, you get thrown in with some really excellent players, and they would just mop the floor with you. Yeah, it's still a play test, and they would walk you through, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed the journey.
That seems like such a leap to me to go from playing to designing. That's just like,
I would say,
I can't even conceive of it.
I mean, the whole ASL system is basically modular. It's made to be designed. And, I think everyone at one time has pulled out like a handful of squads and just started throwing them across the map. And it's really how you start. It takes a long time when you find out, like, here's how rules have to be written, and it has to be written. The victory conditions are always written for the attacker, and all that ASLE stuff you learn later on. But you really just start out. I read a book, and there was this cool engagement. Can I model that?
Okay.
And that's where most of it comes from. And after a while, you sort of understand the parameters for how you design a tournament scenario. So then you're not worrying about how many of these things do I need to include, how many of that. Then you're just focusing on can I get this thing to work? So as a designer, my philosophy is, it has to be fun. It doesn't have to be slavish to that entire history. Maybe you model 3 days of the battle into the one scenario because they bring in different units that are interesting, as opposed to, they ran into the roadblock and there was a counterattack and they drove them away, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, Pete Schelling was an early influence on me because he was mostly the guy on social media and the forums talking about how he designed. So I really modeled my early stuff after how the philosophy he brought to scenario design. So again, it has to be fun. You
So
know,
you've got, you said you've got some history background as a historian
right. So
of some
yeah.
kind?
So yeah, my undergrad and my graduate degrees are in history.
Okay,
So, the research is there for, there you can see the collection behind me, East Front books there.
Okay, yeah.
So, it's a good way. It was a fun way to apply sort of the academic things I had done. And you really need those research skills. You don't need the research skills, but I enjoy going in and researching, particular battles. You know, thank goodness for Google Translate. So now I can search
Oh
things on
yeah.
Russian websites about, engagements. There after action reports are there on certain websites. So you can get a better in-depth information and a better story from, in my case, what were the Soviets actually doing? So for our entire lives, we read the German perspectives. There was just masses of these untrained peasants. But at the
right.
end of the day, they won the war. So what were they doing?
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's interesting. So I really enjoy, applying the sort of history background and putting it into the game and coming up with things that are fun to play.
And then do you get some hankering to throw something interesting into it that maybe wasn't historically in that
I
particular
I
scenario?
I don't tend to do that.
Hmm.
There are designers that will um, design a conflict and then go back through the historic record to find
Yeah,
something that matches it. I do it the other way where I find an engagement and then I try and research, look for, the historic maps, look for LiDAR data or 3D maps of the terrain. They're really trying to understand, look for air photographs. Do they exist for the area? That's more hassle focused, but I will look at terrain and things and historic maps for a tournament scenario. So it's really bringing all that together. I think it just brings more realism and it brings more interesting facts that you may not otherwise have known. Because sometimes you just don't know what what was the makeup of the units involved, and then you're going back to like what's the order of battle of this type of regiment or something.
right.
Um, so yeah, it's
And you have to take, I would imagine occasionally you have to take a battle that was a complete rout, one side against the other. But it was an interesting battle, so you have to
right. Yeah,
balance it out so that it's a good game to play on both
right. So
sides.
you still have to be 50-50 that a player can win either side.
Yeah,
So if it is a complete route, then you're probably going to do like a fallback defense
Yeah,
kind of
like
design and see if that works.
that first
Um,
scenario in Beyond Valor with the Finns.
yeah, with the Finns, yeah, fighting with is it fighting
Yeah, fighting
withdrawal?
withdrawal. Yeah.
draw. Yeah,
Right. So yeah, you're falling back through all that smoke and hoping you don't get overtaken by the Russians and get back to those rear buildings and get a machine gun up there and hopefully you can hold
Yeah.
out before you get your feet burnt. So yeah. Um,
And and Jeff, remember too, the rule book has that whole do your own section, that part you and I never look at.
yeah,
Right?
that's true.
It
That
tells
we
you how
never
to
do.
points and do all the
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's
so,
really in chapter H, like the first
yeah,
couple of
chapter
pages.
8.
Yeah, all that is like GYO, like you want to design scenarios, how you do it.
Yeah.
And I will look at what were the weapons and guns and tanks that were available during that time period. Use the chapter H for that. So you don't want a Tiger One in like 1941. Um,
Yeah, it should have
not that
some,
it wouldn't be fun, but it wouldn't be. I wouldn't find it interesting. I'm not like a what if kind
yeah,
of
I
guy.
could say alternate
Yeah,
universe.
alternate reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
So
What
yeah,
if they had one of those in the
yeah, I hear
early
people
war?
talk about they want to do like the invasion of Britain. That's a big what if. And
yeah.
design scenarios for that. I might actually play them. I don't know. But I'm gonna go again the ones that represent the history, and I know other people will like. I think today started Battle of the Bulge, so folks were like, well, let's play some Battle of the Bulge scenarios.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have Jeff and I had played the zombie scenario pack from was it West End Games or something. And,
yeah. East Side Gamers.
East Side
Yeah.
Gamers, and Dave Timmon and I have played a couple of the Grumble Jones Halloween ones. We still have to do the Medusa one, Jeff. We have to do that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, so
I
it's a
definitely
fun
would
break.
play those. Yeah. You know, zombie. Who doesn't want to play a zombie scenario? That's just fun. So I have no problem. That's not alternate reality. That's just alternate game system. So
Yeah.
So then you so you said you're gaming with guys. Who was the first guys you were gaming with before you got into Philadelphia, or is that the club?
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. Yeah, and I live outside. So we, you know, unfortunately, the guy who started it all passed away. So, but he was really active on all the social media forums. He found everyone in the tri-county areas around, you know, Philadelphia. And we still have a listserv and we still meet, you know, once a month. It's just we're not getting as many people as we used to. A lot of starter kit players. So after COVID, I'm not sure. I think everyone went online and they're happy to just play, you know, virtually. You know, I'm one of those. I work on a computer all day, so when I get home at night, I just don't want to play Vassal. And I'm like, well, when I retire, I'll play Vassal. But right now, I like face to face. I enjoy that the most.
Yeah, we still do that. Also, when you first started, then did you have like one opponent? Like I had Wally that taught me the game, and then currently it's really Dave Timonen. Every Tuesday, he likes to try and get over here, and we get.
The first guy I met was Jim Quinn. He lived in South Philly. We both met each other as starter kit players, and he told me a pretty funny story. After I'd met him, we played. Because my wife's like, "You're gonna meet some stranger in South Philly. What if he's an axe murderer?"
Yeah.
And you know, after I'd befriended him, and he said the same thing to me. His wife was like, "You invite some guy to the house, you don't know who he is. He could be an axe murderer."
Yeah.
And you know, my comment was always, "Well, if he wants to play ASL, that's okay with me." So
these kind of people are usually not that weird. You know, it's a pretty safe group. I've experienced.
Yeah.
Because you remember, I had the same thing with Laura when I started Passel. You know, the Valentine Club we ran here for many years.
Yeah,
had lots of guys come through and stuff, and most all were very, very cool.
Yeah. I mean, there is always a cast of characters. I like going to tournaments, so I get to meet, you know, a wide range of folks. And there's all kinds of characters. But like you said, the people in ASL, they're like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, he really is a rocket scientist, or he is some crazy engineer that built something." Yeah. So they are a little bit off, but that's what you need to play the game.
Yeah.
So.
And then, so then you did say you had some things published in Banzai?
Yeah, so Banzai magazine, the Texas ASL guys, you know, so going hand in hand with scenario design is, you know, wanting to write articles. So when I started out, you know, my journeyman work was submitting articles to Banzai magazine. So some of my early works were starter kit articles in there about how to set up a defense and things like that. But then I did a one on elite Italian units during World War II.
That's I think I have. Is that the one in Banzai 19?
I would have to go look to see what number it is. But yeah, that became, you know, Xavier at LFT was like, you know, that was one of the inspirations for one of their journals. They did put out an elite Italian magazine, and he did actually send me a copy, complimentary copy. So it just got some people thinking, you know, it wasn't all, you know, what we hear about the Italians in North Africa was, you know, the British just rolled over them, and you know that was sort of the the ASL module was sort of like, you know, well, you got a bunch of 6 morale guys and they're probably going to run away. So if you want to design a scenario, they need like 47 Italian squads against 10 American. So
yeah, there's several of those, aren't there? Actually, now that you say that,
yeah,
it's been a long time since I've played those, but Yeah, I do have the article up. You wrote this is massive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
It is
again,
you.
I borrowed a lot from, every country has their own sort of ASL lister. So there's one for France, and there's one in Spain, and there's one in Italy. And I was reading some of their articles, and then some of that was taken from, I was looking for elite Italian units, and I came across some of their work. So I sort of incorporated that, brought it into English, the parts that I agreed with. And I think at the end of that article, it says, if you really want to see the other things, here's the link and go check that out. So
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
there were a few. There wasn't a million elite units in the Italian military, but there was a few, and they did have some actions. And I think that article helped bring it forward, and other designers did bring some articles or scenarios forward. And I also wrote another one that on SS units, basically people, Sherry, the guy from
Yes.
Schwerpunkt.
Yeah, right,
He,
right.
Yes.
one of the forums was like, so when do you use a 658 SS squad? Like, what period in the war do they should you use that in your scenario design? So there was a little bit of debate about that on Game Squad, and from that early discussion, I started researching it, and I really broke it from my research. There were clearly elite formations like first line, second line, and then conscript. So they weren't all going to be 658s. They were, like the conscripts probably were never going to become a 658. And then I was looking at the elite formations, and I have to go back and look at it. And that was an early 43. They started introducing double MG 42s into the SS squads. So they really got a bump in their firepower. So again, looking at the research there, because early on, they were just getting all the leftover World War I equipment. In the 1940, 41, they were just getting the bottom of the barrel stuff, and it wasn't until later on in the war when politics had changed, and they were, favored by the German military, then they started getting all the good stuff. So anyway, the article basically says, it lays out when you may use this, when it's appropriate to use a 628, but it's really going to be dependent on the formation and what time during the war it was. And I've had, other designers have said once they found it, they said, "Wow, that was actually a really useful article."
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, that's great stuff. Both
Where
of
did you
them.
do your research?
Mostly it was Google stuff because I don't
Okay.
particularly purchase books on those formations. So it was sort of limited on what I could find online about how effective those units were in combat during different periods of time.
Mhm.
So I'm sure other folks have larger libraries, but again, as a historian, you learn all materials biased. You have to, you just have to understand that bias or read between the lines and see what they're really saying. So a lot of those books are like very gung ho from that perspective. So I focus more on academic books on World War II.
Interesting.
And I think there was a little, again, teaser at the end. I'm like, more additional research may, identify more, may refine the sort of models I had shown in there for what the ELR and the unit types. Because I sort of skewed it, give 3 unit types at one time. So they weren't always all 658s. There was always, some new units coming up into the formations and older units, damaged units degrading down. So they weren't all going to be the same squad type. And it just makes scenarios interesting when you have a couple different squad types in there. from my perspective. So yeah, I did some articles in Banzai. I have some in MMP Special Ops mags. So again, doing my journeyman work on, so submitting free stuff to the folks in Texas ASL for Banzai, and then working my way up to getting paid articles submitted into, magazines. So maybe someday you'll see a journal article, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, the two there and the bonsais are really, really great. I didn't get all the special ops stuff, but the graphs, the charts, and the way they done. I don't know if they made the charts or you made the charts for the.
I made versions of those charts, and then Rick Renish, he does all their graphic work, and does all the stuff for Bounding Fire production. If you want, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, indeed, Bounding Fire. Yeah, my bell's over there too, Jeff. There you go.
So Rick does all the graphic work for that, and actually, in passing to him, I'd said in the Italian article, I was like, "Well, that'd be cool if we could put together a scenario sheet," and he was like, and he did. He put one at the back of that magazine. You can print and make your own, Italian squads. So,
well, yeah, impressive.
Most of your research and interest is in European theater.
Yeah, it's mostly Eastern Front. I don't know why. I just had this strange magnetic draw to it. I don't know why, like in Stalingrad. So I do read books in other theaters, but I just always tend to return to Eastern Front. And everyone, most people are like, "Well, I think all those battles have been simulated," and I'm like, it was so huge, millions of folks engaged. I'm like, there's still tons of micro theaters within there that are coming out that are interesting situations, interesting units. Again, I keep saying it's worth modeling, but that's basically what a scenario is. You're modeling these engagements, people enjoy playing them.
Yeah, and it is amazing to think of how many were involved and how huge the whole thing was.
Yeah,
crazy.
Get a grip on that.
I mean, the Russians lost like 25 million people killed. Like, you can't even imagine how many people that was. So
the Americans lost just under 500,000.
It was 400 and something thousand. Killed. And they lost 25 million. So it's phenomenal.
And just again, like when I visited Hungary at Budapest, just seeing the war damage still all over the city,
still there,
and realizing that was played out through, between all the fronts is across the whole terrain. And
it's hard to believe all those cities in Europe were leveled, just demolished, and they rebuilt them. They rebuilt them all to look like they did prior to the war, which is more impressive to me that, they had craftsmen that could still do that.
Yes, a lot of them. Yeah. I think Berlin was more modern, I think, post.
Yeah.
But Hungary's really trying to recreate the on Castle Hill, the buildings as they were.
Yeah.
They even had the pictures I had shown when I went there of the pre-war and then the destroyed and then the new one that they're putting up.
Yeah. Thank God, no U.S. cities were ever, obliterated like they did there. So, anyway, the force is a good one.
Did you, having played ASL as long as you have, do you have some, I always like to ask, are there parts of it that you just can't stand? Or that you would definitely change or just bug the heck out of you? Or
No, because at the end of the day, I understand it's a game. And, I played I've played a few folks that are just like, that wouldn't happen in reality. And they would just get frustrated at the game. And I'm like, at the end of the day, that's how they wrote the rule. I don't agree that isn't, logic says, they wouldn't do that. So I can't say I don't like any rule. I think a lot of the stuff in Chapter E is a little wonky, but even the MMP folks agree like that one day they just want to redo that entire chapter and fix it in their words. But yeah, no, I just accept the rule is what the rule is. My problem is I'm just getting older and I forget the rules. And then, another friend of mine, we play and we're like, we played this 100 times. We should know this rule, but we have to go look it up now.
Yeah.
Like what's that modifier? Is it +2 or +3? Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes the basic stuff. Yeah. I
yeah.
forget how we screwed up the sniper down one time. I totally
Well,
forgot what we did, but it was
We set up a
totally
scenario
wrong.
and we didn't set up the snipers.
And then we were moving them wrong. Something weird. But anyway, yeah. And it's funny how though sometimes it comes back to you, like when I'm playing now. So I'm suddenly like, oh, this is this, and don't forget this. And then I'm like, wow, my brain is really working today. And Timon's like, yeah, it's working pretty good today. Last week, no, not so good. So, but it helps keep us fresh.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
And I do like other theaters. Again, because I live near Maryland, where Winter Offensive, MMP's Winter Offensive is. I had an interest in the Spanish Civil War. I collected about 100 scenarios that have been published throughout the years, and I have them all. There's about 100.
No.
And yes, in various
Wow.
publications, fanzines from all the clubs all over the world. And I went to, I brought it to Winter Offensive, showed it to Perry, and I was like, "Hey, Perry, isn't this cool?" I was like, maybe someday we should work on like the Spanish Civil War or something. And then I think the next Winter Offensive, he came to me and he was like, hey, we got a rule set from a Spanish designer, but it wasn't up to snuff. Would you be interested in working on that? And they're like, we're going to have a senior player, Carl Nogueira, who you've had on your show.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, would you be willing to work with him? And I was like, sure. So, we got the draft rule set from Fernando in Spain. And, I thought it would take like 2 years. And I think it's been 10 years now. So designing a module is not for the faint of heart, is all I can say. And what made it difficult, what made it more difficult was, there was no existing units or counters or anything. Like we had to start from scratch. So it wasn't like, I want to make a hassle with the Germans and Americans. Like you already know everything that they have. You're just getting the map right in the campaign rules. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey. It's my research skills definitely helped out during the production of that. We work collaboratively with a whole bunch of people. I don't say we're siloed, but I was like the R&D research guy. Carl is our rule guy. He knows the rule book inside and out. So he worked on the rules part. He was also the play test coordinator. So he has his own network of online Vassal folks. So again, it took years to put that together, but we finally, a couple of months ago, resubmitted it to MMP. There was some other drama that happened. So, it's going to be in their production stream. Yeah, there was a third designer, a Spanish player, but he dropped out. He didn't want us using any of his material, so we had to remove everything that he touched or wrote. Yeah. So, yeah. So it's still going to be a big module, but it'll be a little leaner than what we started with. So some boards and things came out and overlays, and of course all his scenarios. But anyway, we just resubmitted it back, and we'll work with the MMP guys, and they'll do their production stuff on it. So I kind of laugh. You always see people online, hey, someone should make a scenario that has the Hungarians, versus somebody. MMP, you should do that. And MMP doesn't really design anything from scratch. It's all on outside parties bringing it to them. Like you have to have
Yeah.
it like 95% done, and then
Yeah.
they do that last 5%. Like that's how things get published in the journal. That's how articles get in there. So if you have that idea, it's on you, folks. Bring it
Yeah.
to the table.
Yeah.
Um,
I like to think that I'm the idea guy. I just create the ideas. I don't want to do any of the work.
Yeah. That's in the pipeline now. It's going to go through all the editors. It'll go through, they have a whole team of rules guys that go in and tear that all apart. The chapter H is there. I worked on that and got all the unit counters and AFVs,
Cool.
and I had to figure out how do you figure out armor value of an AFV? So I had to like educate myself how to figure that out. How do you figure out the movement points? Well, it's the engine ratio to the transmission and to the horsepower and all these things that you
Wow.
never thought you would need to know.
Wow.
And there's a big caveat and everything. I'm like, I've never did this before. This is what I think it is. You guys let me know. And they're like, nah, it's good. Like, so
Yeah.
now all you have to do is pose for the cover.
well, that was also another interesting, again, working with the folks in Spain. They are still very much divided as a society along that sort of nationalist and Republican tilt. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So I told the MMP guys, I was like, I know you always have someone do a cover. I'm like, but you can't just have one side or the other. You can't have like
Oh yeah.
a guy with his foot on the other guy's neck. Like they will get very angry. I can't really equate it to the U.S. Civil War, like the South and the North, like there's people that are interested in it, but there's no passion there. So like they do in Spain. So we had to tread lightly on how we portrayed particular. We're calling them factions, but in ASL they're really a nationality. I think we have like 10 or 12. Like it's going to be a big module. Like again, early in design we were like, do we do like have 8 squad types and that'll represent everybody on one side, or would we break them up into the factions and each of them would get elite, first line, conscript kind of thing, and that's sort of what won out. But there's a lot of militia early in the war, and then they got incorporated into other units.
Yeah, okay.
And then it has a nationality chart that's huge with all their characteristics. It took 10 years for a reason. It was a big project, and that's with MMP, and then they go through it again with their folks working with us. Mostly they come back to us with just questions. What did you mean here? Is this the value you want there? And I assume it will be early 2027, but I'm not in the inner circle, so I don't know how their production schedules work. They seem to have a lot of stuff in their pipeline, so that may push it back a little bit.
I'm ashamed to say I don't know much about the topic of the Spanish Civil War, but is there a book that you would recommend?
Yeah, no Spanish Civil War
Thomas.
books.
Okay, Hugh Thomas. Okay.
That's sort of like the benchmark for where this starts.
Okay.
It's a little dated now. The folks in Spain are like it's not historically accurate. There are no books written by Spanish historians that have been translated into English for us to read, that are modern representations of the war. Again, those sources are heavily biased. So Republican historians focus more on the success of the Republican units, and the nationalists, which was Franco, that was his side.
Mm-hmm.
They're very pro that angle. So again, you'd have to get like many books from the various sides and sort of distill that down into a modern history of it. But that's like a very good one-stop shop if you're interested in the Spanish Civil War. Again, it was
Yeah.
the precursor to World War II. Russia, Germany, Italy were all sending their equipment there, basically as training grounds.
Yeah, right.
It was also a huge dumping ground for every World War I piece of equipment that was left over, and they were just like sending it to them. So units would have like 5 different kind of rifles and 10 different kinds of machine guns. Their logistics was like mules and like maybe one truck. So it was just interesting trying to get anything to happen there. And basically it was the passions of the individuals involved that held it all together. So while there might be, a militia squad with a 3 firepower, their morales are pretty high because they dang sure wanted to get at that guy on the other side of the barricade.
Yeah.
So it was a very vicious and brutal sectarian civil war.
Yeah,
but yeah,
those
it was
can be the worst. Yeah.
right.
And there was American Lincoln Brigade, right in there.
Yeah, so there were the international brigades. So the U.S., UK, Germany, Slovakia, all these basically Communist Party or left-wing groups came to the defense of the Republican Spain government. So yeah, the international brigades played a major part in the war because again, the Spanish government was more than happy to send other people to die in the front and save some Spanish lives for when it mattered. But they were, again, the international brigades are mostly used as assault troops, so they were very motivated to go. The Soviet commissar system gradually took over and replaced a lot of the other left-wing ideological groups that were fighting in Spain. So there was a lot going on. To me, it was really interesting. And again, the 88, the Germans sent the 88s there for anti-aircraft. And again, they were like, hey, these things are pretty good at shooting tanks. So a lot of that early philosophy of how to use that. A lot of the Stuka pilots were in the Air Force. So again, this is early proving ground for a lot of what we saw later in World War II. They were doing that in Spain, cutting their teeth there.
I think it'd be good if we had a series of videos of you explaining this whole background to the whole thing for people that buy the module and don't know that much about.
Sure.
Yeah, well,
Spanish
let me
Civil War.
when it comes out, maybe have both you and Carl on, or just
Yeah,
alternate
yeah,
you guys and
absolutely.
cover some of the scenarios and the backgrounds and stuff. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, we're more than happy to meet with you guys again and talk about it. So
Yeah. Did you have a Picasso counter too? Pablo,
we should have.
He was there.
Yeah.
What about a Hemingway counter? Was he
Yeah,
there?
Hemingway.
Well, so the names on the counters are sort of the way to give back to your play testers.
Yes.
So we went through and we were like, well, here's all the SMCs. Like, now we need names. So unfortunately, those international brigades, so everyone who's involved with European names or English names, all sort of went into there. So I may go back and see if we do a Hemingway. I didn't think to include him.
Of course,
he didn't help with the play testing.
Can always put Jeff and Dave in there too. So.
We could. To be Davey. Will be the Spanish version of that.
Yeah, David.
So yeah, there was a lot of like accents over names and things to get them in there. So yeah, that's sort of the fun part we can give back to folks that help out, because there was a few like hardcore playtester guys that like definitely got the gold star. Like those guys would play a scenario like 5 times, like and some of them were long, and they kept coming back for more. So our thanks really go out to all those guys that helped out, because we wouldn't be able to do it. We'd be 20 years and it was just Carl and I having to play these all ourselves. But he he had a very good group of folks that were helping him out. And he has access to top players. So a lot of the final playing was Carl, playing those guys. So if anyone says this thing is an unbalanced dog, I'm like, well, it wasn't balanced for us mortals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a difference too. You got guys who know, again, like just throwing smoke in the early days, when I saw people do that, I'm like, oh, that's how you can win this one.
Yep. Yeah. And Jeff, when we had the technical difficulties, was asking me about, other tournaments. And I was like, yeah, I like going out to ASLOC too, because I get to play, some top level players. And I was like, I go in knowing I'm not going to win, but I want to go to play these guys to see how they play. Like you said, they're always dumping smoke or a chain of smoke so that their guys can advance up behind the chain. I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Or, getting a 7-0 behind you and like killing your kill stack that broke for failure to route to a 7-0. Like they pull stuff on you that you're like, it's literally watching like a master painter at work. Like it's worth just, you're going to lose, but it's worth just going to see. And again, you pick up those little tidbits here and there, and your game slowly improves. So, I'm like, I'm okay mid-level player. I'm never going to be those guys, but I watch how they play, and you read the articles. So philosophically, I'm like, okay, I understand what they're doing. And then the dice start flying, and then you're like, oh yeah, I never used any smoke.
Forgot to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. When I just told myself to remember to do
Oh
that.
yeah, I'm like, when I see a scenario, I'm like, I have to like use the smoke mortar on my tank to cover my event. No, I'm like, or the gun breaks usually. So I'm like, oh, there goes that. But I love the fate rules in the game. I know a lot of people hate them. You're asking me what rules would you change? I love, your machine gun just blows up on you. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably what would happen. It removes, in game design, it's called God mode. All your units and where they are. So you have full control. And those fate rules just take that away from you.
Yeah.
And then you have to adapt quickly to it.
I guess that's an it evens things out.
Yeah. And then there's other games, systems like Combat Commander. It just has like just random events. Like I forget, I think they have cards in there, and they'll just say, your artillery like doesn't arrive, and you're like, well, I didn't have any, so, or like your tank broke, but all it did was drive down the street. How did its main gun break? So again, I like that the fate is related to the action in which you were doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So like the cards are random, but it may not have been a thing in the game at the time.
Right. Yeah. So, they were trying to introduce randomness, but it doesn't portray it, I think, as well as, again, the greatest game in the world.
Combat Commander.
Everyone's always trying to make a better ASL, a quicker, easier ASL.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of game systems out there, and they still, no one's come close to it. I mean, I've played some of them, and some things I like about it. I like, the card sections of newer games because they introduce new things that you can do. But I don't think the rest of the game system is not what the story that an ASL scenario delivers to you, because you play the same scenario 2 or 3 times and it's not always the same story. Just again because those fate things, because a leader became heroic and made your defenders charge across the street when they needed to be holding a building, or your King Tiger just blew its gun up and then you foolishly rolled to repair it and it went bye-bye, and so did the AFV. It's good stuff.
Yeah, that is. It absolutely is. Well, what else do we got here? Anything else to cover? Tournaments, I kind of missed, you said, so you do several of them.
Yeah, I go to Winter Offensive, and I do go out to ASLOC. Again, because the guy who taught me ASL lived outside. He grew up outside Cleveland. So he I think after a year of playing, he was like, "You're going to ASLOC with me." And I was like, "I can't go to ASLOC. That's full of like all the best players in the world.
Yeah.
They'll think I'm a moron and just kill me. He's like, come on, we're just gonna go.
Yeah.
He goes, who cares? And no, they were. I had a great time. It was fantastic. Like I flat out told the guys, look, I just started playing. I don't really know what I'm doing. And they were all helpful.
Yep.
I had great games. Yeah, I didn't win any of them, but I learned a lot from playing those guys and had a really good time. And I really enjoy. I don't go there every year. Maybe every 5 years I'll go out there. It's cool. I enjoy playing all the myriad of people out there and just meeting guys that you hear about and read articles about or seen them on the 2.5 squads and like, wow, I would like to talk to that guy. Yeah, I highly recommend go to tournament. But yeah, I mostly just go to those two. Yeah, good times.
Well, should we call it
Well-
a show until next time? And there will be a next.
Sure.
There will be a next
I would
time.
say
I hope.
so.
Yeah.
Although this month we're only doing one show, so this is our December show. So yeah, for fall of this, well, we'll talk later. But I guess should we sign off then, or anything else?
I don't have anything to add other than if you need to record tomorrow night or another night,
Oh,
if
to
something
make-
happened,
it
I'm
looked
here.
it looked okay,
Well,
but
that's
yeah,
great.
we'll let you
All right.
know. We had a little tech
Um,
problem, so
But yeah, no, I'd
Really
love to
nice.
come back on and talk again. I'd really appreciate you guys chatting with me. I had a very good time tonight, and
Good.
let me know if
Yeah,
we're
it was
interested
very
again.
nice. Very nice
Yeah.
meeting you. And,
Oh,
we
yeah.
had
oh,
a good
oh,
talk.
oh.
I think it all turned out well.
no, we have one more
Thank you.
thing.
Mr.
Sat on
Kata,
attack.
Mr.
What
Kata.
happened?
Oh.
Vince, you are going to. We call you Vincent or Vince. I guess we never asked you.
That's fine. My friends call me Vinny, so
Okay,
that's fine.
Vinny, you are going to, for us, please. Once I pull up the contest,
Oh, he's going to pick a contest winner.
You-
Ah,
have one. I won't read them in order because then you'll pick your friend. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot of them are here. 7 entries. 4. What even was it, Jeff? It was the quick 6. Pick.
Ah.
Yeah.
one of the
Scenario
quick six-packs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so if you could pick a number between 1 and 7, drum roll, please.
4.
Number 4. Number 1 was Nate. Number 2 was Tom Meyer. Tom, I'm so sorry. Tom was really hoping he would win one. 3,
Sorry, Tom.
Pierre.
Wah, wah.
4, Doug Blyart. Doug, you are the winner.
Doug.
And then Richard, and then Ricken, and then Dave Grennan. Thanks for all of you for entering. And Doug is the winner. So I will send that out to you, Doug. All right. Now we're ready to sign
Lucky
off.
Doug, you
So-
made his
All right.
made his year. 2025 is a good year for
Oh, and
Doug.
I just remembered, I designed the scenario in the World Championship. That was the final
Oh,
with Pliva and McGrath. So that was my
Oh,
design.
really?
was that this,
Foreshadowing Ruin. So that,
this year's one, or
yep. So
Oh.
they held that one to the final. They thought it was good enough to use it in the final.
great? Where do we get a
That's
copy of
cool.
it?
Journal 16.
Oh, so I do have a copy
You
of
don't-
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have that one,
Okay.
Dave?
No, I think we have it. Oh wait, is that
Yeah.
the newest one?
That's the newest
Yeah.
one.
Oh no,
So-
not yet. I'll have to go to Games Plus.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding. But next, I'm playing all the Finn ones with Dave Timonen from Bounty Fire Productions, Mannerheim Cross.
Ah,
too.
I only played one so far.
There's a lot to play, and
There's
you've
a
been
lot. I'm like,
and you've been
that's gonna
developing.
take you a while.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
It may be a pack I decide I can give myself permission to not play all of them, but boy, that's something I always tend to do. So
I'm always impressed with those guys because I'm like, these all kind of look the same. Then you play them, and they all play differently. So I like those guys' stuff.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
then,
right.
until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. Remember to
Remember to
roll low,
And rally well.
but not when you're
not
playing
when
us.
Playing us.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
Yes.
Yeah, same
Happy
to you.
holidays, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.